Hello friends, welcome to Salesforce CRMatics video session 132. So basically in today's video, we will actually understand one of the aspects of the design layer, which is the dataset. Definitely in one session, I cannot cover every aspect of the dataset, but we will have a quick overview of that, what dataset is about. Okay, what are the options which are available, and what are the things which happens when you save it as a lens. So I will walk through a few things for sure, but we will have a detailed version of this once we go further in our once we learn more about data set lens in our further sessions. Okay, so firstly what I will do is I will very quickly go to Analytics Studio, and most probably I will open one of the recipe, okay, which will give me much more detailed information because we have the account and opportunity over there. So I will be opening a free session. Okay, so I will be opening the free session 5. uh, so as you can see here, I have this particular data set, okay, that is account of left join. Okay, what I will do is I will probably open this one only, fine, and maybe explain you these things. So I will just open this one. So firstly, this is how a data set looks like. Okay, so the thing is that, like, of course, you can search it from app or you can directly search it over here. That is fine. And the main point is like here, once you click on this particular data set, it will open in this lens format. You will see the new lens is opening. It will open in lens format, and after it's your decision if you want to store it in a lens format. So lens is nothing but a save exploration of data set. Like whatever exploration you are doing on the data set, if you don't want to do it all the time, you can actually go for this option. Okay. Now the thing is that here, if I click on edit mode, you see here are all the details which I have it over here. So for example, this is the dataset name, this is the API name, okay, of the dataset. And if I want, I can change the dataset name from here as well. Okay, that is fine. Like if I want to change it something, I can click on this pencil button and change the name. In one of the session, I will show you like how we can change and what happens if we run the data flow recipe once again, if it is having the original name of the dataset. We'll walk through such sessions as well, not an issue. And here you get to see the API name when it got created. For example, in my case, it got created in this particular date and time, and when it was last modified, when was the last time I queried or making some changes into this, when was the last time I refreshed the data. Okay. And the last query, basically query means if you're opening that particular data set, right? When you're opening the data set, that's the meaning of last query. Data refresh means if any new data or any data got updated, something like that, the data refresh. So the last time it was happened was 28 and not today. And when was the last time you have modified? Like, when you say modified, basically some data got created or updated, anything which happened that comes under the modified section. And this shows you the total number of rows which I have. So for example, in this data set, I have 1220 rows. Okay. Then these are some of the extended meta files. Okay. Currently, we don't need it much, but I will just show you like how this kind of helps us at a later stage. Maybe this is known as the XMD. Okay. And here it shows you the source. For example, you see if I've opened this dataset already, you are working in a support project, and let's say there are some existing dataset, and you have to be sure like from which of the sources it is coming, because you might have to update certain things based on the requirement. So in that case, you can actually find all those details from here. Here you have that app section, like where in which app it is stored. If you want, you can change it from here. If you want to change any one of the app, you can change it from here. Okay. 1 minute, what happened this time? Okay, let me refresh it once again. Okay. And here, this is the usage, like I just used it in one of the examples, that's why it's showing up over here, but I will do it once again for you, not an issue. Okay. And here, basically, you can, if you want, you can replace the data. Configuration, we will walk through in details in one of the session. If there's a aspect of restoring, like you have already replaced, and if you want to restore, you can do it. If you want to delete, you can delete the data set as well from here. Model part, we will understand later. Now, with this explore button, like as I told you, like if you search it from the Analytics Studio, okay, you can either directly open from here. So if you directly click on it, it will open in the lens format. But if you want to, edit the data set, and if you want to come over, if you click on export, then also it will open the lens view for you. Okay. So this is the overall aspect of the data set. Like here, if you open in edit mode, you will get to see the API name, when it got created, when it was last modified, when some data got added or updated or created, extra new data's got there. Okay. And when was the last time you opened it as a query, that shows up the total number of rows, from where it is coming. Okay. The app in which it is stored and where it is being used. I have used one of the examples myself. That is fine. I will show you once again. And the security predictor is a different topic, which we will understand in one of the sessions. Okay, not an issue. Now, once you come over here, this is basically the lens view, right? This is the data set view. And if I save this data set, it gets a saved exploration. Fine. And here, of course, as you can see, like you have the data, you have the filter. We already walked through this filter a lot. Like you have the bar length where you select the count of rows. Now there's a particular chart. Like if you click on here, you see all lot of section of the charts. We will stick to bar chart as of now. Okay. So under bar chart, if you select something from the bars, let's say industry, this is how this whole thing appears, right? And if you select something from trellis as well, let's say I selected stage, okay? So this is how the trellis looks like. So for example, for this particular stage, closed lost, how many agriculture is there? Okay, this is the one. For closed one, how many, like for closed one, which industry, like in the closed one stage, we have this agriculture industry where 21 rows are there, which is having closed one. From need analysis in agriculture, there are 3 rows, okay, which are having that value of agriculture and need analysis. So you can see this is how the proper viewing looks like, okay. So at the end of the day, as I told you, this is the data analyst tool, and here this is how the complete view looks like. Fine, if you go for further options, okay. You have this unused field. I think in one of the session I walked you through, where we have that stage and stage bucketed and how I remove that particular stage. Okay. You have something called as the query limit. Like here, the maximum number of rows which can see is 2000. So for now, I will just delete this trellis. Now here, if you see, if you turn on the icon, to limit the number of results shown, enter a number from 1 to 25,000. The maximum number you can enter in a lens is 25,000. Okay. If you enter nothing, we apply the default value of 2000. So if nothing is entered, they will by default apply a value of 2000 over here. You can apply the filter as well over here. For example, if I want to see something like, let's say on the stage only. Okay. Let's say I want to see need analysis. Okay. And here, let's say I want to see something like, maybe amount more than 0. Okay. Yeah, I can say amount is not null maybe. Okay. Yeah. So amount is not null. These are the two filters I have applied. So this is how the data set looks like. And here actually you have this option called show fields panel. If you click on show fields panel, what will happen is here you will get to see all the fields. Okay. So in this particular data set, what are the complete fields which you want to see, you can see it over here. Okay. And that is something like they have this dimension. Okay. So as I told you in one of the sessions in Salesforce schematics, we deal with 3 data types, that is, mainly dimension, measures, and dates. Okay. So with this being there, if there is any derived dimension, we can actually select it over here. Fine. And if there is any derived measure, if there is anything, it will come under this option, which is fine. Like you have this stage bucket. Okay, that's fine. So that's the whole thing about this one. And the thing is that here, if you click on the setting button at the top, if you want to see the API name as well along with it, for example, here, if you want to see it, currently I don't see the API name, I see the level. But if I just click on this drop down, okay, I can copy the API name. You can see, you can view the value from here. Fine. If you want, you can edit the values. We will walk through in one of the session how that can be done. Okay. If you want to hide it, you can hide it as well. If you want to rename, you can rename. Fine. Now here, if you just select on dimension, it will show you the list of all the dimension fields. If you select by measure, it will show you, like currently we have only amount. Okay. If you filter by date, it will show you all the date and its corresponding year, quarter, way it's being classified. Okay. Now here, if I select this option called show field API, you see automatically it shows up over here. Okay. So that's how this kind of works. And yeah, then you can close this over here. And finally, you have something like save. You can save it from here. If you want, you can undo as well. So for example, if I want to undo to the previous one, okay. So I have this option to undo. I have this option to redo. If I'm coming back to the same one, okay. Now here you have something called as click to designer. This we are mainly used when we, like let's say there's a lens which we have built and you want to transfer it to the recent, the recent open dashboard which is there present for you, and we will walk through this in details, not an issue. And then, if you want to present in a full screen, you can actually do it from here. You can check it in the full screen as I've done it right now. And again, if you want to exit the full screen, you can have to click on cross. Okay. We will understand the subscription later point, okay, collections as well. And maybe favorite, I will just walk you through in one of the session how these things work out. Okay. And here you have this option where you want to, if you want to share, okay. So let's say if you want to, or before sharing, I will just show you how this happens when we save the lens. Okay. Now there is something called as table mode. So here you get all the list of chart, right? This is the complete chart list which you get. You have also this list called as table mode where you can change it to values table, right? So this is how the values table looks like. You can also change it to compare table. Okay, and you can also change it to pivot table. Now once you change from a chart to a table, what happens is that complete view gets destroyed. For example, right now if I click on chart, I won't be able to see that part, right? So that part got completely destroyed. The filter is intact, as you can see, like one of the filter got intact, but other than that, one other got disrupted and that whole thing got changed. So ideally, the best practice is like if there is some calculation, which of course we will walk through in details in further session, but whenever there is a particular calculation which you have to do where you have to bring a new derived field, then you can always do it in table mode. And once that is done, you can shift it to chart mode. That's how the way it works. Because once you are in chart mode and then you shift to table mode, it again refreshes it. Okay. So again, I have to select something like industry over here. And maybe I can select something like amount is not null. Okay. And here, of course, you have that option of adding filter logic. Like currently it is 1 and 2. If you want to change that filter logic, you want 1 or 2, of course, the number will increase. Okay. By default, if you add further filters, it gets there as and of course, this filter logic itself is something a huge topic. Like what happens where there's a multiple filter expression, how you have to be very careful with and or not, and how you have to check the data. Okay. That is very essential, and we will have sessions on this, but this is the way it is. Okay. And you can change it to or instead of and. That can be done over here. That is fine. Now I can just save it. So when I save this, so here you have to give the name. You can write the description, the version history, and the app in which you want to save it. So here I can write something like account opportunity, something like account opportunity lens, and I can store it in my recipe data set. You can add the description here, information set to account and opportunity can be viewed. Okay. You can add the version history if required. You can add 1.0 and the app where you want to save it. Okay, so I can click on save. Now this got saved as a lens. Okay, once this gets saved as a lens, you will get this option of cloning it. Okay, you will get this option of deleting it. You will get this option of returning to initial view. For example, if I want to return to initial view, how I can do that? I can just click on it. This is the complete initial view. So when you first selected the data set, right? When you first explored the data set, the way the view was, it completely returns back to that view. If you just select that, return to initial. Now, what if I want to go back to my last one, right? So the way it was previously, what will happen if I want to go to the last one? So in that case, you can click on this history option. Okay. And in this history option, if you see, this is the last view. And if you want to the previous view, that's what you can get it from here. Fine. So basically the kind of view which you are exploring that gets stored in this history. Okay. If you see over here, right from the start, right? Like I added the filter, then I added the grouping. I updated the chart. I updated the chart to pivot table. I updated the chart to compare table. I updated the chart to values table. Okay. I added filter, need analysis, then I removed the grouping. So, whatever things you are doing, right, on this particular, once you open the data set, every event gets stored in this history. Okay, whatever events you are doing, you are adding any bar length, bars or trellis, okay, or if you're adding any filters, if you're adding any derived fields, like whatever it can be, okay. And then we have something called as the formatting. Okay, so here in the formatting, we will walk through each of the formatting for each of the charts. Here you get to see the list of charts. Of course, we will walk through each of the charts one by one. And for each of the charts, like how the formatting happens. For formatting, it's like if you want to add certain titles, like as the name suggests, is basically just to format the complete lens. Okay, and yeah, that's it. I think, yeah, and you can actually like there's something called as create lens and compare 1.0. We will understand this later, and if you want, you can share this as well, where you will have this option either to give access post to export, export to be retrievable or download. Yeah, yeah. This is just a basic introduction, a basic overview. We will walk through in further sessions. So yeah, thank you for watching. We will meet very soon.